The portal is wide open. The thing to remember is it goes both ways.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by, I should have looked that up a minute ago, brought to you by FanDuel. And I appreciate FanDuel every single day. They are the absolute best. There's no doubt about it. And thank you, everydayers, for joining us every day. And thank you, newbies, for being here today. So, Jimmy, we're going to get into Alabama's portal stuff in the second two segments. That's going to be a lot of fun because there's a lot of people going out, a lot of people coming in. The one thing that's interesting to me, though, after all, and by the way, I feel a ton better today than I did yesterday. It was sad that Alabama was left out. I still maintain it's not the worst thing that's ever happened. It wasn't totally egregious. I'm just, I've been on Twitter sort of arguing with people. They go, but you shouldn't lose to Vandy in Oklahoma. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. We shouldn't have, 100%. And I'll say this for the billionth time, that this bloated system gives us undeserving teams. My team was undeserving. I thought my undeserving team had a better resume than some of the other undeserving teams, and I thought we should get in because of that. The committee disagreed. It's not criminal. It's not egregious. And thankfully, the one thing Dusty Dvorak brought this up, it puts to shame and to bed anything that Danny Cannell would say about a conspiracy. It's done. All that talk's done. If you wanted if SMU gets in, conspiracy talk's over. So that's good. But Greg Byrne has come out and really agreed with me. Hey, we need to readjust the way we handle. Boy, my hair's looking funky today.
Is it?
I don't know. It's like I got it cut by a different dude the other day, and it's
really?
It's kind of
just a guy you picked out like at Walmart.
Yeah,
hey, would you mind cutting my hair, sir?
Yeah. Anyway, Greg Byrne said, hey, we need to look at the way we schedule in the future. And I had pointed that out. And so many people, especially non-Alabama people, have pointed out, hey, well, by the way, your losses were in conference. I was like, that is true. But see, what they can't understand is my goal. What I'm trying to say is, and I should have said this better, the goal isn't necessarily to say we got to change non-conference. The goal is to get your strength of schedule to number 60 versus number 15. That's what we need to do. We need to do like SMU, have a 60th ranked schedule. That is good enough. If Alabama had the 60th ranked schedule, we would be in 100% because we would have gone, at least we would have done what SMU did. But see, when you play in the SEC, you have built-in factors that lead it to where the schedule is going to be tougher. So Alabama, and again, I want people to understand, I'm not talking about the right now. I'm talking about for the future. Alabama has Ohio State and Notre Dame and Florida State and teams like that on the schedule upcoming. Get rid of them. Put Mercer Tech, Mercer A&M, and Mercer State on the schedule, and then deal with the SEC. And I don't think that's crazy to say. These things can both be true simultaneously. Alabama killed their own chances in the playoff.
Yes.
And letting SMU in tells the world your schedule, strength of schedule doesn't matter. Those two things can be true at the same time, and they are. So while it sounds like you're just crying and moaning, I guess, to people, I'm not crying and moaning. I keep replying to people on Twitter, yeah, we did it to ourselves. Like, you did it to yourself. I was like, yeah, then what are you complaining about? I'm not complaining. I'm saying that I hoped my undeserving team would be the least undeserving. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it's complicated in terms of whether to change Alabama's schedule. Greg Byrne is clearly strongly considering it. I get it. I've been sort of pushing for it myself for a while. Not just this, but I think the committee has been pretty consistent on strength of schedule for at least 3 years now. I think it's been 3 years that strength of schedule hasn't mattered a lot to them. So many focus on the final rankings, but you can you can read into these mid-year rankings from them too, where they send the same message. So I agree with what Greg Byrne's saying. I'll also point this out to him and to others that I don't believe the committee bakes in strength of schedule enough, but they clearly bake it in to an extent. For instance, two for instances. Number one, the most extreme example, Army isn't in the top 10. I think they've won like 12 games now. I guess they're like 12-1 and won their conference. And they're not in this. And why aren't they in this? Because their schedule is so impossibly weak, you can't possibly justify it. So Army's out. But that's a good example if they do look at strength of schedule, at least to some extent, because that's why Army's not in the conversation. Now, secondly, and even a bigger factor, because it directly relates to Alabama, Alabama almost made it in with 3 losses. Almost. And Alabama, among all the 3-loss teams, there's a lot of 3-loss teams out there. Why was Alabama chief among the 3-loss teams? 2 factors. Number one, their quality wins, and 2, strength of schedule that factors into all of it. So Alabama's strength of schedule did aid Alabama to an extent because it made Alabama, or helped make Alabama, the most attractive 3-loss team. So in that sense, Greg, we do have to remember that eliminating the strength of schedule altogether may not be the right math equation. I think what you're looking for here is a balance of, we don't have to play the nation's toughest schedule. That doesn't seem helpful because the committee doesn't seem moved by the quality wins and strength of schedule enough. But B, if you do load it up with, as Luke hilariously suggested, every iteration of Mercer out there, Mercer State, Mercer Tech, and Mercer A&M, that could conceivably bite you, conceivably. But I think it's a balance, and I think Greg Byrne needs to sit down with the numbers crunchers and some other experts and come up with an answer here, because I agree with Luke. I agree with Greg Byrne that strength of schedule didn't help Alabama enough here. So there needs to be some sort of an adjustment that Alabama makes for the future. Has nothing to do with this year, for the future.
Yeah, you're right. And it doesn't change anything now. No. And again, that's, I still get, I'm trying to respond to some of these people as we're even podcasting. And they're like, they just don't understand the point. And what it tells me is I'm not making it clear enough that it's not about what we played this year with Wisconsin and South Florida, whatever. By the way, scheduling Wisconsin, that's a pretty good effort. At least you made an effort.
Yeah.
At Wisconsin's not an easy trip. Ask Oregon.
We didn't get any credit for beating Wisconsin 42-10 with the committee. Obviously didn't move them at all. Look at Wisconsin scaring Oregon, scaring Penn State. Alabama beat them 42-10. That didn't seem to help. And that's a great example of why maybe not play Wisconsin. I'm not sure you should play 4 FCS schools. I don't think you should bomb your strength of schedule. But I playing Wisconsin did not help Alabama because there were, like I said, I know when people, Wisconsin 7-5. Well, first of all, when you schedule Wisconsin, they were kind of an annual 9-win team when you scheduled them. Secondly, they did play playoff teams really tough, and Alabama wiped them out. That should have been a data point. I don't know that the committee seemed to care at all.
Yes, and it's so funny. I'm still getting these things. Somebody said conference schedule, strength of schedule is completely out of their hands. You got to play who you play. And I said, I know. You're right. First of all, you're right. Okay.
And where's Army?
No, that's a good point. Number one. And here's another thing. That's true. So what if the goal is for us all to have around the 60th ranked strength of schedule, which would be about halfway a number of teams then what we should all do is Alabama should schedule the crappiest of crap teams. And there'll be somebody that says, we already played Mercer in Western Kentucky. By the way, Western Kentucky's not awful. Mercer went 10-2 in the FCS, which again, we're not saying Mercer's powerful. I'm just saying of the crap teams, Mercer ain't the crappiest. And
no, Western Kentucky is pretty good. South Florida's pretty. Western Kentucky and South Florida are in bowl games for whatever that's worth. Western Kentucky
again,
played for a conference
the number one team in the country I mean, they really could have won. They just screwed up at the end. So, I mean, say what you want to. But, okay, when we come back, it's time to talk some portal stuff. Ooh, Jimmy, though, but I love me some Omaha Steaks. Ooh, you know, I say this all the time that my father very graciously sends some to my children in Ohio all the time because they love them and he loves them and a lot of family and these Omaha Steaks, Jimmy. But you can go get 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code college. That's at Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite. And right now, you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off website, site-wide and omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code college. From legendary steaks to mouthwatering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time. omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code college. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code college. Minimum purchase may apply. And that's okay. You're going to buy all you can. Okay, I went live last night after some of our portal guys got in there, but I'm going to let you touch base on Kendrick Law, Caleb Odom, Miles McVay, and then we'll talk about some of the newbies that just got in today.
Yeah, let's see who went in first. I guess Caleb. You know, that's a loss. And since he's a good player, One thing people need to remember though about Caleb Odom and recruiting rankings, Caleb Odom was given 5 stars by the services, including on 3. Because he was recruited as and considered a tight end. He was a 5-star tight end prospect. Had Caleb Odom come out of Carrollton as a wide receiver, with everyone knowing he would play wide receiver, with him insisting on playing wide receiver, he would not have been a 5-star prospect. He would have been a good prospect. He would have been recruited by SEC schools, possibly even by Alabama, for all I know. But I do know that he was a 5-star tight end prospect, not a 5-star receiver. Now, this past year, I think he proved that he can play wide receiver in the SEC. He was really consistent in fall camp and spring practice. He was sort of a story then. But look, when the games start and you got to win the games, the guys you target shrinks. And for all, like, we should have thrown Caleb the ball more. Then why are we throwing the ball to Ryan less? I mean, that's the thing about targets. If you want to add it to someone else, you're taking it away from someone else. So Caleb wasn't happy about his targets, so he left. Kendrick Law also wasn't happy about his targets. He had 100 yards receiving this year. Kendrick, full of potential. We're saying the same thing about Kendrick today as we were 3 years ago. Full of potential, awesome size, speed dude, but in 3 years had very little production as a pass receiver. We've talked about it on the show. Now that he's gone, I'll go ahead and say he probably should have been playing defense the whole time at Alabama. I don't think he proved at Alabama that he is a top flight SEC receiver, but I'm really curious to see what kind of production Law and Odom get at their next places. Let's remember Bond and Nyblack left after last year. Neither one caught as many balls as they did at Alabama. And they left looking for more targets to an extent. Now Bond left for NIL deal. I think we all know that. But who else went in? Let's see. The 2 receivers. Oh, Miles McVay. That is just a poor fit in terms of Saban wanted gigantic, earth-moving offensive linemen. That's what Saban recruited the entire time he was at Alabama, were big, huge, jumbo guys that could just move people because Saban wanted to run the damn ball, as we all know. But Miles McVay was just a poor fit with this new staff who wants the offensive linemen to be more athletic and quick, and they want athletes up front. So Miles was just sort of a poor fit with the new staff. He gave it a shot. They gave him a shot. He's a super dude. Miles McVay, one of the better dudes on the team. Great guy. We should all wish all these guys luck. Hey, to my knowledge, none of these dudes are leaving because it's ugly. They're all just looking for a better opportunity, and they're sent on their way with a smile and a pat on the back, saying, "Hey, thank you for giving us a shot, and thanks for what you did. Hey, Kendrick Law was a big part of our success this season, a fantastic outside blocker. But I wonder if now that we're going to get away from Milroe being the quarterback and go into a more traditional quarterback, now at wide receiver, you probably need guys that can run routes and get open. I think having that really good outside blocker was very beneficial while we were running the ball outside so much with the quarterback. So we just got to make a change there. And now Danny Lewis is in the portal. That's the most curious one to me so far, Luke, in terms of I'm not surprised, but Lewis look, the 2 tight ends that were blocking him from playing are gone. And Cuevas, the tight end that's coming back, that's definitely going to be a big part of things next year. He's an H-back. He's a receiver. He's not going to line up at the line of scrimmage and get that side of the line blocked like Dupree did, like Oos did. That's what we need, and that's what Danny Lewis does. But he left. Could have been nudged out as like, hey, we're moving in a different direction. That could be the situation there. But that one's just a little more curious to me because unlike the others, at this juncture, Lewis was lined up to be a fairly significant player next fall. But is he great? Hey, let's just be honest. Hey, we'll be honest as we can. If he's great, it's news. He hasn't been great so far. I mean, now he may still develop. So again, you just wish them well. But Alabama will be fine without all of these guys so far. You need the room. For those not paying attention, 85 scholarship players, that's still the rule next fall, 85. We still have to make room to add just the 21 that are coming in. As of this moment, you still have to make room to add the 21. You guys want to sign 10 guys in the portal. We don't have enough room at this exact moment for the 21 guys you're bringing in. We need juniors to go to the NFL and more guys to enter the portal, and that's coming.
No, yeah, I agree. We got to get some guys out, and some of the guys we lose are guys we were hyping up just 6-8 months ago or whatever. I mean, or 2 weeks ago. And that's just going to happen. And the other thing is, a lot of us, especially folks that listen to this that are big recruitniks, they see a 5-star like Caleb Odom and they say, oh my God, we're falling apart. And frankly, I appreciate Caleb Odom. I thought he was going to be a thing. I really did. I was looking forward to it. I talked about on the solo podcast yesterday that, I look back to the Tennessee game and where we tried to throw that jump ball to Ryan Williams on the first touchdown that was intercepted touchdown attempt. And boy, wouldn't Caleb Odom been good there? But you know what? I don't see him in practice every day. Maybe he can't do that. I know he had an opportunity to make a huge catch, I think against Mercer. I think he was against Mercer. Big diving catch, and he didn't catch it.
Yeah, after he had been sort of, I think, publicly on social media saying he wanted the ball more, and then boom, here's a touchdown. And it was a tough catch, but welcome to college football. A lot of them are tough catches. And for those that say, gosh, we're really going to miss a 6'6" receiver that can catch the ball and stretch the field, here comes Derek Meadows. And Derek Meadows is, by the way, a faster Derek Meadows is a more athletic guy than Caleb Odom. No one's talked about Derek Meadows, buffing up and moving to tight end. He's a receiver, period. Caleb Odom, I would project, depending on where he signs. If Caleb Odom signs with Georgia or Ohio State, I bet he's a tight end down the road.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of people talked about his being a tight end, and I was trying to fight it tooth and nail. But you may be right. I mean, I guess I was just had these visions of this giant man on the end. You're
going to get it with Derek.
Yeah, if he doesn't go to tight end,
I don't think he's a legit total receiver. I mean, he's built like. I mean, I think Mike Evans is that's what everybody's going to point to because he's one of the few guys that's that size in the NFL. That's not fair, but he's like him. I mean, he's more like him than Caleb, who's really more of a. I don't know. He's Amari Niblack to me. I mean, Caleb Odom to me was just Amari Niblack. He just wanted to play outside. And this staff, when they moved in, they're like, we don't have enough size at receiver. And Caleb Odom was showing up. And they're like, hey, we think he can get away with it. And they tried it, and it kind of worked. Caleb just wants the ball more. But we weren't going to stop throwing it to Ryan and Jeremy to throw it to Caleb.
Yep. You're absolutely right. All right, we're going to talk about some of the guys that are in the portal that Alabama – either does or should have their eye on. Next. But it's time for our old trusty buddy FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, transfer portal open today. Things moving around pretty good. A couple of names in there. Kevin Concepcion is in there from NC State. I hope Alabama.
Possible. I'm saying that's possible.
It. And especially now that we've lost K-Law and Caleb Odom and Kobe Prentice, I want another star wide receiver.
You're kind of remaking that room. And one thing, we're talking about the portal here, not Michigan, but just as an aside, since you just mentioned it, a guy that I think is going to get some good looks in that bowl game is Rico Scott. With those guys gone, I think Rico is going to play a more significant role now that the top of the depth chart has unclogged itself. But no, back to Concepcion. That's a great name. And obviously, Alabama's clearly remaking the wide receiver room. And now that you're changing away from an RPO-based quarterback that's going to run the ball to a guy that's going to chunk it around quite a bit next year, there will be more wide receiver targets and more wide receivers involved in the game plan. So I won't be surprised at all if they bring in a receiver. The only thing that will surprise me is if they spend a ton of money on one, not with Ryan and Jeremy in the room. I don't think they'll spend a ton of money, but I do think that a wide receiver is very possible.
Ryan, Jeremy, Kevin Concepcion, if he were to be there, and Latsier Brooks and Derek Meadows and Cole Adams. Who am I missing?
Jalen Hale. As for now, Rico Scott. As for now, Emmanuel Henderson.
Yeah. I mean,
for now,
that's a good room. Now, another guy that just got in that maybe didn't move the meter for a lot of folks. Okay, fair enough. South Alabama running back Fluff Bothwell.
Yeah.
He's a dude. He had almost 1,000 yards as a true freshman this year.
He's great. He's going to go someplace big. He's moving up. He's moving up. He was obviously missed in the recruiting process. He obviously showed in year one that he's. I hate to disrespect the Sun Belt like that, but he kind of showed he's an SEC player in his freshman season. So I'll be really interested to see where he ends up.
Yeah. I just think he's a very interesting case. A tight end in Luke Haas from Arkansas. Again, another guy that was on my college fantasy team, but he didn't do a lot this year. I thought he was going to be a star, and that may be why he's transferring, because he thought he was going to be a star.
Yeah, good player. Great recruit. Yep. Maybe he's a guy that needs a reset. Loved him as a prospect, but I'm not sure what all he's done. Arkansas. He's playing. I know he was playing. I saw him play. Yeah, that's interesting because with Daniel Lewis in the portal, Alabama needs a starting Y out of the portal. That's the blocking tight end. They need one to replace C.J. Dupree because if you don't sign one, then the starting Y against Florida State as of right now is probably Jay Lindsey. And I'm high on Jay. I'm excited about what Jay Lindsey is going to bring us from a Robbie Oust type standpoint. But I don't know that as a redshirt freshman, that's who you want starting game one. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. And again, I think you're overselling it a bit in saying excited. I think you're like okay with it.
Well, I'm excited in the Robbie Oust sense. That's kind of who I compare him to. And that's kind of what I think his game could develop into. I'm excited we're getting Robbie Oust again. But it's not Brock Bowers. It would be nice to get Brock Bowers. That would be nice.
Yeah, I certainly would be very happy with a Brock Bowers. There's no doubt. In a sort of related Alabama thing, Antonio Kite, who I think was booted from the Auburn team, is back in the transfer portal. TJ Finley is back in the transfer portal. I mean, this will be. Yeah. Will this be his 5th team?
At least 5. LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky. Yeah, 5 teams in 6 years.
Look at you naming them off.
I mean, I guess I'm a TJ Finley fan. I just found out. Did we mention the punter? Alabama has picked up a punter from the portal. He's a preferred walk-on. There's still walk-ons, at least for this upcoming season. So Alabama taking full advantage. He's a walk-on, but let me tell you, he's pretty exciting. I mean, he's going to compete with the true freshman that's coming in, Alex Asperoff, that's coming in to potentially be the starting punter. He's now going to have to beat out Dowd, who's coming from the Colorado School of Mines. And it's Mines, M-I-N-E-S, not the School of Mimes, the clowns they're always trapped under the glass. That's not the school that he's from. It's the School of Mines.
By the way, I do have a cousin that I think he went to like a clown college in
no way.
So he went to Auburn. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, he went to a literal clown college in
there's one in Florida,
France or something.
Really?
And, yeah, in France somewhere.
And did he major in mime?
I don't know. All I could think about was like the Simpsons episode where Homer squirted his boutonniere and it bounced off something, hit Lisa in the face, and she goes, "That's a good shot." And he goes, "Well, it was my major." But he did it. But I say clown college. I think that's very American of me. I think it's like an entertainment, maybe even Cirque du Soleil-esque type thing.
I'm intrigued. Anything relating to clown college, I'm in. I'm intrigued. Yeah, miming is awesome. It's that old comedian Stephen Wright talking about the jobs he used to have when he was younger. So that was a narrator for a bad mime.
That's good. So who else is in the portal that you're thinking about here?
Well, Kelby Collins, we've reported a BOL. Tim Watts has intimated that Kelby Collins could very well be Alabama bound, 6'3.5", 280 pounds. Gardendale recruited him out of high school. Weird career at Florida. Weird, but boy, I'm not going to say he's LT Overton. That's not fair, because LT, I think, is going to be unique in terms of his story and what he did at Alabama. But like LT Overton, I think Kelby needs to play the right position, and Florida may have had him out of position. I think Alabama might give him a long look at this bandit spot, which worked for Overton, might also work for Kelby Collins, perhaps, or he gains a little weight and is more that defensive tackle position that James Smith plays, at about 300. Kelby is supposedly around 280 right now, but interesting player, super highly recruited, and for well, that's high school. Why does that matter? He was also a freshman All-American at Florida. I mean, he made some noise as a true freshman in the SEC on the defensive line there. He just had a lost sophomore year. Played too many snaps, though, to redshirt. So he'll be showing up a true junior.
All right, that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. By the way, we do play Michigan in the bowl game.
Oh, yeah, I had a little Michigan preview on BOL this morning. I looked at their season. What a strange season they've had, but they're on an uptick. They've played their best 2 games of the year have been their last 2.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. But there's already a spread out of 11.5 in favor of Bama. But how do you have a spread when you have no idea?
We don't know. You don't know who's playing. I mean, those announcements haven't been made. I'll predict that Alabama's not going to have opt-outs from even the big names. I think Jalen Milroe, Tyler Booker, maybe even Jahad Campbell, they may all play in this bowl game. And I know some of you be like, I get it, and we'll do a whole show on this later this week. But I think this game is big to set the tone for the culture at Alabama. I think culturally it would be big that everyone wants to stay and play and win. That's a pretty big deal, because the culture is important. That's what worked at Alabama for 17 years under Nick. Kalen needs to establish his own. I think it would be a positive in that sense for sure.
All right. Well, now we'll do it.
Now
we're leaving. Locked on Bama. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.